Well, good morning and greetings all to the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine's open house presentation for the DAOM and DAcCHM programs. It is a pleasure having so many people joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to spend your Sunday morning here with us. As I said, and I'll mention again, my name is Louis Feher-Piker. I am the administrator for the Dean's Office here at the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine, as well as the interim director of admissions. So I step in when the director of admissions is not available and here to do some things. So I am just as wonderful a person to connect to, and I have been fortunate to meet so many of you up to this point already. I would again like to thank you all for being here and welcome you to our presentation. Again, I will explain what all of these contractions mean. CSTCM being the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine. DAC stands for Doctorate of Acupuncture. DAcCHM stands for Doctorate of Acupuncture, specializing in Chinese herbal medicine. DAOM stands for Doctor of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine. This should give you a good breakdown of the three programs we'll be discussing today, and if you have questions at any time, whether that is during the presentation or after the presentation, once we've finished, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, whether that's writing your question into the chat right now or sending it to us as an email later. Whichever fits your preference will work for us. Now, just to give you a brief rundown of how the morning will operate, we will start with the doctors of acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine. Later, we will be hearing from Dr. Denise Andert, the Assistant Dean of the DAOM program here at CSTCM, as she shares some more with us about the depth of our classical Chinese medicine program. As I mentioned, we will discuss the DAC, DAcCHM overview. Denise will discuss the DAOM overview, and then we will have that final Q&A session at the end. Please note that all attendees today will be receiving this PowerPoint as a PDF set of slides so that you can reference back when you need to. Please note that this is currently being recorded, as you can see at the bottom left of your screen. Now, to discuss what the DAC and CHM degrees are, let's break it down off of what we can see here on the PowerPoint screen. And rather than read it out, I think what's best to do is discuss what it does differently. The DAC is a professional doctorate, which means you are an individual declaring your commitment, your passion, your professionalism to your studies and to your work. This is an opportunity for someone to share that. Specifically, we are looking for candidates for the DAC and DAcCHM programs with 90 plus undergraduate credits. Yes, this shows a level and a degree of commitment to one's studies and really indicates to the admissions committee that this is someone who really does believe in continuing and pursuing their studies. The DAC and CHM programs will include an additional 330 hours of class time outside of the master's originally. That is 150 clinical externship hours and 180 online class hours. This is where we are incredibly excited to announce that those looking to pursue the DAC and DAcCHM programs here at the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine can complete this program remotely as long as you are a licensed acupuncturist. We enabled those candidates to apply their existing clinical work with their own practice or where they work to collect the necessary observations to present in a structured forum setting as part of the DAC and CHM degree curriculum. As you can see as well, listed below the time requirements, there is the opportunity to advance from a master's degree as a licensed acupuncturist to a doctorate degree of licensed acupuncture. The same applies to those students who have not completed their master's yet. You are still eligible to apply for the dual degree program. This is still an opportunity, and that doctorate would be available to be completed online. Highlights about the program in particular focus on obstetrics and gynecology study to better enhance your capacity to work with more people. There is internal medicine that is directly related to obstetrics and gynecology and the integrative approach that is required in changing times where we have more and more access to medical knowledge, learning, and training. Musculoskeletal pain is also a focus area of the program. This closely relates not only to some aspects of gynecology, but also to another area of focus, which is head trauma. Similarly, we take the approach of whole body, whole person medicine and apply that to not only the mental and psychological, but also to the physical, and tying into the emotional component, as Chinese medicine does instruct and indicate that all these three aspects of being are related. Additionally, the DAcCHM program will focus on stroke rehabilitation utilizing acupuncture therapy and Chinese medicine modalities. This is another way of helping the body recognize what the standard and the base operating line needs to be for the individual, recognizing that every individual is unique and different, while we are made of the same cosmic stardusts. And lastly, the final highlight of the DAC doctorate professional degree is the emphasis of integrated Western and Eastern medicines to give a holistic, well-rounded diagnosis and healthcare plan for patients. Again, this professional doctorate takes one's acupuncture and Chinese medicine and Western medicine skills and abilities to the next iteration of community wellness and improving the status of others around us. I think one of the most meaningful ways that an acupuncturist explained treating acupuncture is as part of their daily exercises was that I look at treating a patient as though I'm treating the universe at large. And I think that's a good reminder, especially when someone is considering this professional degree, that there's a reminder of what this work is. And as much as this will enhance your renown, it will enhance your opportunities and abilities to connect with people and find work and make people better. It comes down to helping realign all of existence around us. And so we are incredibly excited to learn more about you, the candidate, and how you see yourself using this medicine later on. And we'll discuss in some more detail as to what requirements go into the application process. Now, I'd like to share briefly about the Doctorate of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine degree and share how it differs at a rudimentary level as we move forward here. The DAOM is more of that top of the mountain degree. As you can see here, it's indicated in the slide. It's the most prestigious TCM degree available. Now, this program only requires applicants to have 60 undergraduate credits. However, you must be licensed to pursue this program, as there is a real-time clinical component that must be completed on your own. You will be focusing on clinical effectiveness through the advanced application of classical Chinese medicine. And this means making sure that students understand the real world applications of the more theoretical philosophy of traditional Chinese medicine. And again, Denise, the assistant dean, will discuss more in detail about this here shortly. In addition, students will take on 2 more years worth of study. This is where the 60 credit requirement differs from the 90 credit requirement for the professional doctorate. The professional doctorate is much more of a flash in the pan, all right, let's get this over with and let's put a little bit more credentialing on. The DAOM asks students to put in a little bit more time, a little bit more patience, and a little bit more contemplation, as this work requires students to change the way they think about acupuncture. And not just from what has been learned at CSTCM, but around the country and around the world. It is established for those who already are working, and as I mentioned, you will do some more of that work on your own. There is a particular emphasis on cosmological study for the DAOM program, which will focus on celestial bodies. It will discuss further philosophical implications of the Taiji Tu. It will also go into more detail about some alternative approaches to the utilization of Chinese herbs. Now, when we look at how one studies gets someone to being an acupuncturist, remember, we all must start and achieve that Masters of Acupuncture first, with or without Chinese herbal medicine, as we see on the left in the master's box. This is that entry pathway into East Asian medicine. The professional doctor, as we discussed, is a fantastic pathway. It is not the end pathway, but it does give that additional level of credibility to the practitioner, as having spent the time in clinical settings, having spent the effort working to learn about their fellow beings. This is where that commitment to the medicine really shows up. Those who have earned a professional doctorate are also welcomed and encouraged to apply for the advanced degree in the Doctor of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine as well. Ultimately, all roads lead to this pathway of doing acupuncture. It just depends on what degree and what style you want to be working with. Why should someone have a professional doctorate degree? Well, it does give you a level of credibility amongst other professional degrees, such as an MD or a Doctor of Osteopathy or a naturopathic doctorate. All of these are on par. Again, these are professionals using their degrees in a professional, medicinal, and health capacity. As you can see here, there's a number of other resources as well, including the expansion of role opportunities in leadership for integrative medicine research. This means working in real clinic settings. This means working in research institutions. This means doing librarian work. Let's talk about professional recognition. Again, this is an expansion of how many other opportunities and how many other instances of professional growth now become much more tenable because there's this backing. You've got this backup in a piece of paper that says, hey, you know, I have these certifications and I have these extended hours of time doing what I'm so good at. The VA, in particular, for the Veterans Administration for the United States Department of Defense, is looking to hire more and more acupuncturists, and they are requiring and do recognize the preference of doctoral degrees. That includes the DAC and the DAcCHM, which will encourage pay at a higher level. Additionally, the DAcCHM program will emphasize that integrative understanding of Eastern and Western medicine, where you will have more familiarity, practicing with, evaluating, learning from biomedical diagnoses, research literacy skills, and evidence-informed practices. This means utilizing the CSTCM library, which is one of a kind, especially in this region, with currently taking in 2 other libraries as well. So now the combined resources of 3 libraries here in the area. That assists with biomedical diagnosis, research literacy, and evidence-informed practices, not to mention the use of other faculty on our campus who focus specifically on Western medicine with backgrounds and experience, integrating it into and with acupuncture and other East Asian medicine modalities. Lastly, you will have that unique collaborative clinical experience as you work with your forum preparations, as you present in your forum classes, to collaborate and connect with students and other faculty. Of course, while this whole program is offered remotely, especially for those licensed acupuncturists already, we want to encourage students to visit campus and connect with faculty and work with us to create and build further community so we can help assist you to become the best version of your acupuncture self. Let's briefly look over what sort of studies goes into the program. As I mentioned, you will have to complete 330 additional hours from the master's degree, whether that's just the Masters of Acupuncture or with the Chinese Herbal Medicine specialization. And you can see the course titles listed as well, varying different credits, 90 hours to 30 hours to 15 hours, 15 hours, 30 hours, and 150 hours, totaling in 17 credits. There is this note down here at the bottom as well, and do note that Chinese internal medicine will be the focus of treatment of disease in the integrative clinic for those utilizing Chinese herbal medicine in particular. At any time, if a student is interested in adding on that Chinese herbal medicine specialization, that is something that a student can include at any time to make sure it works. Additionally, if that's something that you think you might need to drop and make sure that your best studies and your best academic achievement is focused on with just one program, we recognize that, and we do encourage students to speak with us candidly about that. If there's not something that we know is going on, or you have something that may be a little bit cumbersome as part of your academic experience, if we don't know about it, we can't assist you. So please do feel welcome and encouraged to speak with our admissions office and with the dean's office at any time. The admissions requirements for the DAC program, the professional doctorate application necessities, include filling out the CSTCM application online. This is rather similar to the master's application as well, but this is where we will start asking for our applicants to include some more of that information regarding their credentials and their experiences, as you'll see. If there are questions, please let us know. As I mentioned, the DAC and DAcCHM programs require 90 undergraduate credits. We will count underwater basket weaving. We will count Tai Chi. We will take your business classes and your philosophy courses as long as they are earned from an institution of higher education. We just need 90 credits. We don't really care what background they come from. You will have to also have already attained a master's degree in acupuncture. This is a requirement for our students going into the DAC program, applying specifically for the professional doctorate, if you have not already earned your applied for the dual degree program. Similarly, we require all of our students for application consideration to have a demonstrated proficiency in APA style writing. This is from the 7th edition. You can find this linked on our website, but there are plenty of instances online and available for students as well. I should mention as also that the admissions office here for the DAC program and the DAOM program do encourage students to send their essays for rough draft considerations. We think it's worthwhile for your time and for our time to make sure that everyone has a readable application that clearly shows you're familiar with what you're talking about and you are interested in enhancing your professional capacities. We offer this as a included service to the application process. And for those who are curious to ensure that they have those 90 credits, we do want to assist you in evaluating those transcripts. So do feel encouraged to send us your unofficials. Remember, if you do not send your official transcripts from your institution, we will not accept your transcripts. If you have questions about this, please do let us know. Lastly, I want to thank you all so very much for joining me this morning for this opening presentation about the DAC and DAcCHM programs, the Doctorate of Acupuncture and the Doctorate of Acupuncture specializing in Chinese herbal medicine's professional doctorate completion tracks here at the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine. We're excited for you to apply when it is most convenient for you, and we currently have the application open for those students who are interested in becoming part of our summer 2023 cohort. You can see the link here at the bottom. Please feel free to follow that link, copy it yourself from the slide, or click it through directly, and you will be all set to go. I would like to take a moment to take a sip of water myself, and I will be moving the presentation floor over to my colleague, Dr. Denise Andert. She is joining us as an acupuncturist who works at the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine on campus as a faculty member and also has their own clinic at our facility. Dr. Andert, would you like to introduce yourself some more, and may I move to the next slide for you?
Yes, please, Louis. Thank you so much. What a great introduction. I'm getting excited. I want to do the program.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully we will get you out of here in time to enjoy this beautiful day and maybe watch the Super Bowl if that is interesting to you. My name is Denise Andert. I am the Assistant Dean for the DAOM program. And as Louis mentioned, I do maintain a practice right next to the offices actually at CSTCM. And I treat pain mainly, and I also treat women's issues and a whole host of other things, but mostly pain. And I'm also adjunct and faculty for the master's program. I teach and moderate and mentor a course called Clinic Forum, which there is also an advanced Clinic Forum in the doctoral program. And it's essentially an amazing discussion course that allows students to bring in their real life patient cases, and then we discuss with our peers and also our instructor clinicians will bring their expertise into the arena, and we have just a lovely discussion about these patient cases, and the students have a chance to glean different perspectives, which is so important, especially when you are just discovering what resonates best for you as a practitioner and, before licensure. So today we'll be going over the program overview, how the program was developed, and we'll give you a definition of classical Chinese medicine, and briefly go over the program instruction content, hours and credits. We have some patient cases to share with you that will give you a visual of the wonderful benefits of classical Chinese medicine acupuncture. And you'll be able to see firsthand how these cases are improved by the techniques that you will learn in this program. Testimonials will be peppered sort of throughout the presentation. And then we'll go over admissions, schedule, credit hours, tuition and fees, and then we will have a question and answer period. Okay, so we can go ahead and advance. Thank you so much, Louie. So since 2017, CSTCM has had 2 board members and 5 faculty who have traveled to different locations abroad to learn and evaluate different theories, methods, techniques, technologies, and all that based on the patient's treatment outcomes. So they were out searching for the best materials, theories, techniques, everything that we can glean from other parts of the world to inform the curriculum of the DAOM program. So a lot went into this. So we're looking at 6 years of development, which is stunning, just great efforts there. So after evaluating the research, CSTCM designed the DAOM program based upon Dr. Xiaochuan Pan's self-consistent system of classical Chinese medicine. This system has a deep understanding of classical textbooks and applies Dr. Pan's deep understanding of clinical practice. This system also produced very good outcomes in practice, which our members discovered. And also, the system has been widely applied to treat both acute and chronic disease successfully and effectively. Later in the presentation, we'll again share those cases. Here are a couple testimonials from Anna Cheng, a PhD from the USA, and Sheznan Phua from New Zealand. And Anna says that Dr. Pan's theory of distinguish the qi in treatment, including the double spiral theory, that the sky rotates to the left and the earth moves to the right, and the male is left and the female is right, breaks the traditional Chinese medicine theory. It restores the classical medicine theory that traditional Chinese medicine comes from heaven and is based on the calendar, with theory before practice. This in our clinic can immediately prove that the theory is in accordance with the way of heaven. The effect is remarkable. Now, when I read the Huangdi Jing, I found that I can read it repeatedly and I better understand the ideas and how to use them in clinic. With my new understanding of the Huangdi Jing, I can develop techniques different from my previous ones. In addition, my newfound knowledge allows me to combine acupuncture and pulse modulation techniques at a much higher level. So as you can see, these both clearly tell us with deep understanding of classical Chinese medicine that we will get really good results in clinical practice. So the theory and techniques of the DAOM program are informed by the classical foundation books, the Huangdi Jing, the Nanjing, the Shenan Bencao, and the Shanhan Lun. In the Huangdi Jing, which was written before 111 CE, everything is based upon the qi concept, which we will also discuss a bit later. The Nanjing author is Bian Que. He continued the qi concept and explains and expands upon the Huangdi Jing and qi basis. The Nanjing also added the concept of Mingmen fire or minister fire to the Huangdi Jing and expanded the Chinese medicine system from 5 elements to 6. This includes wood, king fire, minister fire, earth, metal, and water. The Shenan Bencao was written between 206 BC and 220 AD. This is the classic of the Materia Medica. This includes 365 herbs, and every herb has the following properties: flavor, temperature, movement direction, ascending, descending, moving inwards, and moving outwards, and functions. Out of these properties, the flavor is always listed at the beginning, which is the main category of its qi. Temperature and movement direction also relate to the qi. So the function of the herb correlates to the meridians and channels and symptoms. The Shanhan Lun was written before 220 AD. This is the treatise on cold damaged diseases. It has many formulas from the Tangye Jing, an ancient Chinese medicine herbal book, which was lost after the Tang dynasty. The Tangye Jing focuses on the flavor of herbs as the main factor to determine the role of the formula. And as we know, these are the chief herb, the deputy herb, assistant herb, or envoy herbs. And in the original book of the Shanghan Lun, the first 3 chapters discuss the pulse and the qi, and then chapters were added to the current book. In the Shanghan Lun, herbs are also based on qi and flavor, which is considered the comprehensive qi property of the herbs. So the Huangdi Jing includes the theory and explanation of Chinese medicine concepts such as the yin, yang, and the 5 elements, pulse diagnosis, the Zangfu, organ diagnosis, meridians and channels, etiology of diseases, pathogenesis, which we know is the manner in which a disease develops, symptoms, diagnosis, treatments, disease prevention, and the 5 yun and 6 qi. So modern interpretations of the Huangdi Jing tend to separate these theories into different categories. CSTCM believes that these have deviated from core themes, and we would like the definition of the classics to be founded in the original Huangdi Jing. So now we can go back and look at these concepts listed above a little bit more. So the yin, yang, and 5 elements are the qi's characteristics. The pulse is the qi's window. This is akin to a house with a window that allows us to look in and see if there's some type of fire or damage to the body inside. So the pulse is the qi's window. Zangfu organs are the function of the qi's level and status. The meridian and channels are where the qi flows in and out. Etiology is how the qi becomes imbalanced by internal and external factors. Pathogenesis is how the external qi changed, leading to various dysfunctions. The symptoms are the qi's external appearance. This is the wall of the house. The diagnosis helps us understand how the qi is excessive or insufficient. Patient treatments regulate the qi from an imbalance to a balanced state. Disease prevention is the method in which the qi is kept in accordance with nature, avoiding the internal or external effects which can lead to imbalance. The 5 yun and 6 qi explains the natural and cosmological cycles of qi in detail and how it moves and affects a person and everything else. In ancient China, the sages formed their Chinese medicine theory from the observation of cosmology, which is also the origin of the I Ching. The rules of the universe are called the Tao. So if we are observing the sky, we will see that the sky is rotating counterclockwise and our Earth is rotating clockwise. So it is said that the sky is moving to the left and the Earth is moving to the right. Based on the universe's structure and the movement, we can deduce that the 3D model of the universe looks like a double spiral, which you can see there to the left. And therefore, in the 3D model, the universe is a double spiral. Moving towards the images on the right, we can project this spiral into a 2D model, and then it becomes the Taiji 2 at the far right. Though we recognize the symbol of the yin and yang, there is much more to it. So in the DAOM program, we will delve deeper into this, as well as the Qi's structure, Qi's movement, the transformation of yin and yang, and the 5 elements, the 6 Qi, the He-Tu, and the Bagua. So at CSTCM, we thought it would be important to define classical Chinese medicine from our perspective. And this is largely developed off of the research that was done for 6 years, as I mentioned earlier. And classical Chinese medicine is been around a long time. It's matured during the Han and Tang dynasties. And these date to about 202 BC to about 907 AD. It's a medical system that's based on ancient cosmology. Its philosophical foundation is the Tao system, which relates to the universe, as I mentioned in the previous slide. From a monistic perspective, the entirety of reality is reducible to only one substance. Any diversity of reality means that it is a plurality of any aspects or modes of this one substance. In this case, it's qi. In the Huangdi Jing, it's said that the people are a unified production of heaven qi and earth qi. Striving for oneness has been a consistent drive that is universally understood throughout human history, culture, religious, and philosophical thought. For example, in Chapter 3's title, the term generative qi is used instead of people. This means that every living being is encompassed in this qi format. CSTCM's definition of the classics begins and ends with the various appearances and activities of qi and qi medicine. Chinese medicine also uses the 5 and 6 model. This is the 5 elements and 6 meridians, or the 5 yun and 6 qi, which I mentioned above. This is 1/3 of the Huangdi Jing. The 5 yun, or 5 phases, is about seeing what is happening now. The 6 qi is about seeing how problems arise and potentially resolve. Chinese medicine also uses a specific number to give a specific meaning. For example, in many acupuncture techniques, we use the number 6 or 9 to sedate and tonify. In herbal medicine, we use the He2 number as the correct dosage of herbs in a formula. Again, we will go deeper into these concepts in the DAOM program. Sun Simiao said that if a practitioner doesn't know the I Ching, then he's not qualified. In the DAOM program, we will not only teach about the I Ching, but also about the position of heaven qi and earth qi and how they are constantly moving, where they interact, and how they transform to affect each person's health. This is the basic knowledge of the 19 articles of pathogenesis. As I mentioned, qi's property and movement are the basic elements of the universe or Tao, and this is the same for our body. Human in Nature discusses how the person's qi is communicated to the heaven qi and earth qi and how to apply natural phenomena to the body qi's flow. Ancient astronomy discusses the concepts of yin, yang, and the 5 elements and explains the time concept used in the classical textbooks. He2, Luo Shu, and the Taiji are models of the yin, yang, and the 5 elements, and they also explain the theory of numbers. The I Ching and the Bagua both have 2 concepts. One is the Fuxi I Ching, which is the abstract of nature, and it relates to the innate Bagua. Another I Ching is called Zhouwen Wang I Ching, which has been currently used in many fields. This relates to acquired Bagua. The theory of numbers is, again, the pattern of numbers that are used in acupuncture, moxa, needle manipulation, or an herbal formula combination. The 5 yun and 6 qi are very important concepts in the Huangdi Jing, as I've mentioned. However, this content was removed from the teaching materials in the master program for the sake of time. So this is one of the main concepts we will be discussing in the DAOM program. Acupuncture, herbs, moxa, and music are all techniques that we will use to regulate the qi in each patient's treatment. And finally, in the Huangdi Jing, it is mentioned many times that male and female are opposites. In the first chapter of the Huangdi Jing, 1/3 of its content is used to describe the male and female differences alone. One key difference from our master program is that it's not mentioned due to the time it takes to learn the information to obtain licensure. Therefore, in the DAOM program, we will concentrate on these differences and why they exist. Gender corresponds to the technique that's used. We commonly treat the patient by gender assigned at birth. However, CSTCM believes in gender-affirming care. If a patient identifies as no preference, non-binary, transgender, gender non-conforming, or gender neutral, then the standard method is chosen. CSTCM is also mindful of dead naming, calling a person by a name that they no longer use, and misgendering, continuing to refer to a person who is transgender, non-binary, or gender non-conforming by using terms related to how they identified before transition. Chinese classical medicine and the I Ching also observed that the continuation of the species happened through reproduction. However, this does not exclude queer identities, as the Taiji Tu is inclusive of all existence. And let's see, to go further down the list here, the Yun and Qi and Constitution. So by using the birthday, we can know the person's current health. By using the current time, we can give a preventative solution. Since 2019, we have given formulas to treat COVID-19. And patients who have taken these recommended formulas did not pass away from taking the formulas or from COVID. They did not have serious symptoms, any side effects, which include long COVID or what is known as post-COVID syndrome, according to research. The double spiral is the model of the universe. As I mentioned in a couple slides before, it gives us the model of the body. Understanding the double spiral model gives us the theory of the Qi's flow direction. The Yuan Qi, Mingmen, Sanjiao theories were all developed from the Nanjing. The Nanjing expands the 5 that we learned from the Huangdi Neijing to 6, and then builds the 5 and 6 model, which we will go into more in the DAOM program. Pulse taking is the most important technique that will be focused on. We will be applying all the knowledge learned throughout the program to pulse diagnosis to yield simple but effective results. For example, for the yin and yang, which element is excessive or in excess or insufficient or deficient, these will give us a clear direction for treatment, and we can understand the pulse and what it is telling us. This also helps us understand the Shahan Lun at a deeper level. And we can advance to the next slide, Louis. Thank you so much. So when CSTCM designed the DAOM program, we referred to over 100 textbooks from all different time periods, especially any books that were referenced occurred before the Qing dynasty. We have noticed that over time, the books gradually deviated from the original meaning of the Huangdi Neijing, the Nanjing, and the Shanghan Lun. These books are not focused on the Qi concept, especially after the 1900s. So in the DAOM program, we will study the classical foundation textbooks to seek the real original meaning or truth of Chinese medicine. In our program, we appreciate Dr. Paul Unschuld's translation of the Huangdi Neijing, which is the most complete and accurate of all the versions of the Huangdi Neijing. This is the version that will be referenced in the DAOM program. So here are our program category hours and credits. So we'll be looking at a didactic program category total of 450 hours. And this includes 315 hours of classical Chinese medicine theory and technique, 15 hours of integrative medicine, 45 hours of research didactic, and the final 75 hours will be focused on the clinical research project, which is also the capstone project. And then there is a 765-hour clinical category total with 30 in clinical observation, 120 with clinical internship, 485 of clinical externship, 105 of clinical forum, and 15 of clinical pedagogy, with a total of 1,215 hours. So the DAOM program is designed to go deeper every trimester. For the clinic, in the first trimester, students will learn level 1 acupuncture, herbs, moxibustion, healing tones, and everything can be applied to each practitioner's clinical practice immediately. In trimesters 2 and 3, students will learn the level 2 acupuncture and herbs and will start internship clinics to apply new theories and practice. In trimesters 4 and 6, students will read portions of the required classical textbooks and gain deeper understanding of them as it applies to effective clinical treatments. And then, as I mentioned in the previous slide, we will be focusing on the clinical research project for most of the research focus. In trimester 2, you're learning clinical paper writing. So you are learning research. I'm sorry, that's 3 and 4. So in trimester 2, you're going to be learning clinical paper writing, which is all the focus aspects that you'll need to write research papers. So we'll be focusing on the APA 7 format and making sure that is included in all of your writing. In trimesters 3 and 4, we'll be focusing more on research methodology 1 and 2. In research methodology 2, we'll be focusing on AI and machine learning with Joe Brady, who is collaborating with DU with his Bridge to AI project. Very exciting research happening for acupuncture and whole person health. And that will all be discussed in trimesters 3 and 4. And then 5 and 6 will be focused on your clinical research project and finishing and presenting your capstone project, which will then lead to your graduation. So this slide shows the acupuncture techniques. Oh, sorry, that is not the right slide. Okay, so we'll be showing, we'll be hosting a seminar to teach CCM theory and Zhuangzhang, turning the pivot and 4 needles in the 8 extraordinary meridians portion of our DAOM program. And this will be held March 4th and 5th. And I will share a slide later with more details on that. But so these are the acupuncture techniques that are taught in the first 2 trimesters, acupuncture 1 and acupuncture 2. And later we will show a bit more on cases that use only level 1 acupuncture techniques to treat certain disorders. So these are examples of class material from the DAOM program. For example, the left 2 slides represent the double spiral acupuncture technique. In this class, the first hour will discuss the most popular needle manipulations, such as setting the mountain on fire, heaven coldness, blue dragon shaking its tail, red phoenix flying, white tiger swinging its head, green turtle exploring a hole, dragon tiger fighting, dragon tiger ascending and descending, and Zi Wu Dao Ju needling. And I know that some of these are familiar for some people from the master's program, but we will definitely be using these techniques in the DAOM program. The lower left image shows the application of the double spiral technique, which can be used to treat Ashur points, open the channels, and boost the qi if the patient's qi is deficient. The right 2 slides discuss the 8 extraordinary meridians. The lower right slide shows a 3D model of the function of the 8 extraordinary meridians and why they're paired. For example, why the Dai Mai is paired with the Chong Mai. So now that we've talked about the programs, how they're designed and how they're organized, let's focus on some treatment outcomes. So this is a sample case of diabetic foot. And as you can see, this is a pretty extreme case. This is before treatment. The Western doctor recommended amputation surgery, which the patient, of course, wanted to avoid. So the patient came to a Chinese medicine doctor to seek a better solution. So the information here is translated from the information there that you see on the left in Chinese. So this case was taken from the Fuda Cancer Hospital in Guangzhou. They have just set up a Chinese medicine department and then received this patient. There was 2 practitioners. The patient was female, 53 years old. Her complaint was pain in the arch of the right foot. It was red and inflamed for 2 weeks and worse in the last 3 days. Her body temperature was normal and her blood pressure was good. Upon examination, the right big toe, the second toe, and arch were red. The big toe and second toe were obviously swollen. The second toe and skin ulcer festered into the muscle layer and exuded pus. So this was becoming quite serious for this patient. Blood sugar was 243 milligrams per deciliter. The Western diagnosis was diabetic foot. So in classical Chinese medicine, the diagnosis results are very simple. They're mainly viewed as excess or insufficient, excessive or insufficient. For example, from the first treatment, the pulse shows the wood, earth, water, and Mingmen fire all insufficient in both the Guan and Chur positions. The treatment is using the Yuan Luo technique to tonify the water, Mingmen to tonify the minister fire, and Zhuangzhong to tonify earth and wood. And the following page is just a few more treatments that this patient received, and the treatments are very similar. So here we have comparative pictures for before and after treatments, and this is 10 treatments, and we can see a pretty great improvement, especially in the ulceration of the arch of the foot. That looks much, much better. And we can see there's less redness, less inflammation on the toes, and this is after 10 treatments, so probably the patient will receive more treatments. But this is common. These are common treatments that occur in China, and these are the types of results that they get. So here's another case of diabetes performed by a practitioner in Dalian, China. The case on the left is a male patient born in 1991, and they discovered that the boy had diabetes from eye surgery. Using only acupuncture after 4 days, his blood sugar dropped from 444 milligrams per deciliter to 205 milligrams per deciliter. And then the right case, this was performed by a practitioner in New Zealand. And prior to treatment, the blood sugar was 268 milligrams per deciliter. After treatment, it reduced to 163 milligrams per deciliter. So this is a case of psoriasis. This is a female, 72 years old. She had constipation for 30 years. I'm assuming she was using or having bowel movements on average of 6 to 7 days. And she had a skin itch in the left elbow. After 2 treatments, her constipation was resolved, and after 5, she was almost recovered. Here's a patient with ecchymosis. She's a female, 65 years old. Ecchymosis is caused by the leaking of blood from blood vessels into the subcutaneous tissues beneath the skin. Her blood test demonstrated normal results. The left picture shows a treatment on 10/29 with a pause in treatments. And then the right picture was a follow-up in December, showing pretty good improvements there. This is a 13-year-old female with contracture of the fingers. She was unable to straighten her little finger of the right hand for 10 months and unable to straighten the index finger of the left hand for 1 month. As you can see, after 7 treatments, the left hand comes back to a normal state. And then after 15 treatments, the right hand comes back to its normal state, and that is demonstrated in those lower right pictures. She has normal appearing fingers. Here's a child with hair loss. She's a female, 10 years old. She was having hair loss for nearly half of a year. And after 13 treatments, there's a steady improvement in hair growth. Here's a female, 79 years old with an ischial tuberosity cyst. Before the treatment, the cyst measured at 2.1 by 0.6 centimeters. And after 4 treatments, there was a good reduction of 0.4 by 0.18 centimeters. Here is a gentleman with lipomas located there on the left forearm. As you can see, there is a pretty good improvement after 3 treatments. Here's a gentleman who had paralysis after a brain tumor surgery for 8 months. The surgery occurred on the left side, and the picture of the left is before the treatment. The picture on the right is 20 minutes after the needles have been retained. And these are other diseases that are commonly treated by classical Chinese medicine and acupuncture, level 1 acupuncture, and others. Intestinal obstruction, uremia, psoriasis, vitiligo, shingles, breast hyperplasia, uterine bleeding, infertility, lipomas, cysts, cancer, chemotherapy side effects, thyroid nodules, hypertension, depression, and insomnia. So here are current student clinical results. Our first clinic occurred with our 2022 cohort on 9/4 and 9/5 of 2022. There was a treatment of 34 patients. 33 out of 34 changed to a balanced state, and the patients reported positively. 1 out of the 34, the pulse did not change in the patient due to an incorrect diagnosis. And in the second clinic on 10/24 and 10/25, there was a treatment of 38 patients, and all patients reported balanced state and positive results. Here's some great patient treatment feedback. I felt energy moving from my arm through my right shoulder. I felt some jaw tension release on my left side that I hadn't noticed before. I can feel spinning in my abdomen, drilling through the sludge. Patient reported feeling energy moving in her abdomen. It's amazing to feel how much was blocked once it starts to move. Another patient reported warmth in the lower abdomen and gentle movement in her epigastrium. Again, another patient felt rotation in the abdomen clockwise, saw purple, pink, and blue, which was new for them. A patient felt one side and then the other side of the body warm and open up. Here's a student testimonial from Natalie Francois. She's a current student in progress of the DAOM program. She says, I returned to do the DAOM program after 7 years of being in practice, and the depth of knowledge has changed the way I treat tremendously. It has been deepening. The most noteworthy changes are the diagnostics and pulse-taking skills, which are based heavily on the chi of the patient. I love reading ancient texts and weaving their wisdom into my practice, along with the diving into scientific research. This program has shifted the way my mind sees theory, my patients, and their symptoms. And I love the new treatments and the skills we utilize immediately. While it is a lot of work managing school, business, and life, I already see how this program will benefit my practice in the years to come. And Valerie Lamb says, the DAOM program has been very beneficial to my practice and my growth as a practitioner. The CCM theory focuses on regulating qi and balancing the 5 elements to improve qi flow. Point selection is rather straightforward in that all treatment is based on the patient's pulses and not just the symptoms the patient is experiencing. I've had some great results in the clinic, and many patients with chronic pain have been able to walk out pain-free for the first time in years. I have patients tell me that my treatment feels very different and relaxing compared to other practitioners, and are amazed at the results, even if they were initially skeptical of how few needles I use. The DAOM program has provided me with more knowledge and more methods to help my patients. The course material is novel and fascinating, and the program is well worth the time and effort. And one more from Angie Pierce. The DAOM program has given me new information and techniques to bring into my private practice immediately. I am seeing excellent results with my patients with fewer needles. I already use very few and now use even less. The number of patients I see in a week has increased since starting the program as well. One of the biggest takeaways from the program is an increased knowledge of the medicine I practice and the many different ways to look at a presenting disharmony in any person. So here are our admission requirements. A master's or diploma of acupuncture, a professional doctorate degree or the equivalent from an ACOM candidate or ACOM accredited school of acupuncture, must have completed a minimum of 45 hours or 3 credit hours of Chinese herbal medicine education. So candidates who do not have this minimum must complete the DAOM Chinese Herbal Medicine elective provided by CSTCM's MA-CHM program prior to enrollment, or must be completed within the first 2 trimesters of the DAOM program. US state licensure or licensure in the country of residence and practice. And here's a link for English as a second language students for the TOEFL. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me, the DAOM Assistant Dean, at this email address. So this is a 2-year program, as Louis mentioned earlier. There are 6 trimesters within a 1-week module each trimester. There's online classes Mondays and Wednesdays from 5:30 to 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. And trimester 1 starts for the 2023 cohort May 8th, and that ends August 18th. And we have on-site class dates and different class dates for our out-of-state students, and they have more of a week intensive for being out of state. Again, online class dates are always Mondays and Wednesdays from 5:30 to 8:30. Trimester 2 starts September 4th, ends December 15th, and then we start our spring trimester on January 8th, and that goes till April 19th. So this is a 6 trimester program. Students starting in 2023 will complete their research project presentation, their capstone presentation, on 4/19 or 4/20 of 2025. So our tuition fees, the 2023 cohort is $28 an hour with a total tuition of $34,020. Fees are $1,728, and books and supplies are about $1,000 for a total cost of $36,748. For the 2024 cohort, we are looking at $31 an hour with a total tuition of $37,665. Same fees, same books and supplies, for a total cost of $40,393. So a tuition discount will be 5% with tuition paid in full upon admission, and this doesn't apply to your fees, books, or supplies. We do offer a faculty discount, And those discounts vary based off of the tenure of the faculty at CSTCM. These can include discounts up to $18,182.75. And we also include a CSTCM graduate discount of 10%. Currently, the CSTCM DAOM program has been approved by the Accreditation Commission for Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine. It is anticipated that the program will receive full accreditation by spring of 2024. Unfortunately, financial aid is not available at this time. However, financial aid will be available when the program receives full accreditation. There is a monthly tuition payment plan available. So this is a great opportunity to take an introductory course for the CSTCM DAOM program. This seminar, the money that is paid for this seminar will be applied to the DAOM credit, or as a DAOM credit for tuition. This will take place on March 4th and 5th. From 9 to 5:30, located at the school at 1441 York Street. There are 15 PDAs, and the regular cost is $500. There is an early bird discount of $450, which ends on February 19th. There is also a CSTCM faculty and student discount of $250. If you decide you wanted to reattend this seminar in the future, it would be $150 to attend the seminar with $10 per PDA. And there is a registration link there below. So if anybody has further questions, please raise the hand icon, and we will get to you, about in the order that your hand was raised. And if you have any other questions, you can email either Songtao Zhou, he's the DAOM Program Director at daom@cstcm.edu, or myself, the DAOM Assistant Dean at daomassistantdean@cstcm.edu.